Girl, I got this feeling when I think about you. Got me feeling like I'm floating when I think about you. It's like I'm 40,000 feet in the air. I ain't gotta care. I ain't even scared. No fear. I can touch the stars in the moon. I swear. I will never want to come down from here. Oh, baby. I'm on cloud nine. Oh, so I'm on cloud nine. Let you be mine. Got this feeling that I'm getting when I think about you. Like this pain that I'm feeling when I think about you. And here I am suspended in the air. I ain't got a care. I ain't even scared. No fear. I can touch the stars and the moon. I swear. I'll never walk down from here. No, baby. I'm on that line.
Yeah. It's your boy DJ Voltron. I'm here with the R&B artist Ron Syncere. Ron Syncere, man, state where you from.
What's up, peoples? I'm from New Jersey, South Jersey, by way of New York. R&B, old soul, new sound.
And what was that single called I was just playing right now, my guy?
That was called Cloud Nine.
Right. It's dope.
Thanks,
As,
bro.
as we begin, man, I knew you for a long time, you know what I'm saying? And I know you was like, business oriented, in the music as far as, you get busy. Understand what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir.
basically, how long have you been doing this for?
How long was what? I missed that.
And I'm sorry, how long have you been doing this for? The music.
Oh man, I've been doing this for like 30 years or more. Um,
Okay.
my I started. I mean, you remember we used to years back. I remember being in the car with you, driving and freestyling because we used to
Right.
freestyle. I've been doing it since I was a kid, man. I love music. It's always been in my heart. I feel like the biggest thing is like with that song, you could even hear, um, you know, I think my purpose is to bring love back to us, man, because as people, we don't have love anymore. And that's why I wrote a song that's a love song. There's not a lot of love songs left.
Oh my god.
A lot of this stuff is, everybody thinks love is transactional now.
Right.
You buy me this, then I love you. And that's not how love works. Love is unconditional. So what we have to learn is that and bring it back to the planet, and bring it back to our relationships so that we can heal our lineage. So
Right.
that's my reasoning. You know what I mean? That's my purpose. I've been writing love songs for I don't know as long as I can remember. And I've been on a mission now to get it out to people. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, who was your biggest influence growing up?
I'll say biggest influence probably Michael Jackson, hands down. I mean, I grew up in the '80s and watched him and listened to him. And I went from him to like New Edition and that whole sound back then. And then I've kind of transformed my sound over that time. I pretty much I write in all genres, so it doesn't matter to me per se. Uh, you know what type of genre you give me, I can do it, because I've grown through that whole process. I mean, music is 50 years old, or hip hop is 50 years old, and I'm 50. So I watched hip hop and R&B kind of merge into the one thing, and you see where we're at now.
Right,
So that's
right.
why I said I want to bring some of that old feeling back. I'm an old soul, new sound. You know what I mean? It's you're still gonna get some of the new, but you're also gonna get some of the old mixed in with it.
So tell me, what was the first song that you felt that put you on the right path?
Um, I don't know because I would say it's just Michael Jackson in general. I grew up. I remember trying to do all the dance steps and all of that, and I listened to like any of his songs. Like, Mike was a prophet, man. He was revolutionary in the industry.
I mean, like,
Um,
what song was you singing that felt like you was
that
heading in the right
that
direction?
that I thought I was him.
Yeah,
I don't know because I loved all his stuff, man. Like, I grew up just like Billie Jean, Beat It. And then the love songs that he did. I mean, all of that was big. But I think I was so young at that time that I would say probably what really got me into singing was the New Edition stuff, like "Can You Stand the Rain" and all that type of stuff.
right. What was the story behind your song that you know what I'm saying that made you create that song?
Oh, that song. I don't know. Like I got up one day and I was writing, and the melody that came down. I actually wrote the song. I was in the shower and the melody just came downloaded to me. But I always think that God is the one that helps us write, like writers. I've learned in my lineage. I'm a griot, which is from West Africa, all the way back. Griots were like artists. We were poets. We were kind of like the king's gesture, but we did all types of entertainment things. And I've always been a poet. So when I write, I write in a poetry style. But yeah, like that song in itself, I feel like I was just being the vessel, and he was putting it in my mind to put it out or to write it down. But I've always felt that way. It comes from a higher power. It doesn't just come from us. You know what I mean?
You know, what was the one thing that you wish that you knew back then that you know now is pursuing your music career?
Um, I think that I know now. I would say the biggest thing is just knowing that the industry is the industry, and we know what it is. And I feel like the battle that we fight uh, is a positive battle against a negative battle. And I think that I should have had more push towards getting it done when I was younger.
Right,
Um, because to me, I would have been helping fight that battle. But now I feel like God has called us back to do it, to put it out now. And that's why I put it out now. So I always say things happen in his timing. It isn't always what we think, but it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. And for me, things are starting to move now, which is something that I would have never guessed or I would have never dreamed could have come true.
right,
I think the biggest thing though was to maintain staying with it because knowing that it was me and knowing that that's who I was. I never gave up on it. I kept telling friends and things that like for us not to do it and just work a regular job 9 to 5, and letting that dream die would be letting ourselves die. It would, part of your heart dies with that, and I think that there's a lot of people walking around in this world that do a job every day, 9 to 5, and they let that dream in their heart die.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Excuse me. And that's that. When you let that die, you let your spirit die with it, and it kind of, I've seen people, just walking through life defeated because they've let their heart, or they let that part of their childhood die. We all were
Mhm.
children that had a dream, and God put that dream in our chest, for a reason, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing to me, is that, I held on this long. And I remember there was people that always laugh at you, like, you still doing music? You still doing music? And I'd be like, yep. And I ain't have a problem with it. So what I did is I just transformed it into something that I knew I could still get it out in, that I didn't have to be per se in the industry,
Right.
with all the craziness that goes on in the industry. I had a show for 5 years, 5, 6 years, where it was called All Sold Out. And what we would do is we had, featured artists, and I made a platform for other artists to share their art. And I thought that was important because somebody did it for me coming up. And, one of the things that as Black artists, we don't have a lot of outlets to put our talents out. People will go and sing a cover, and that's fine because I know people want to hear a cover. But these same people that are singing covers have their own art, and they're sharing part of themselves. And you'd be surprised how that part of themselves is a part of you too. And sometimes we need to hear the things that come from artists to heal what's going on in ourselves. So, I think that the industry has kind of taken that over and made everything like cookie cutter, and they've taken away the ability for artists to reach people in a positive light, to help people heal from things, traumas that they go through. You know,
Right.
when you growing up, we all went through traumas. So like when we were growing up, we heard songs that helped us address those traumas. Nowadays, everything is about what money you made, what car you got. So we've learned to turn those traumas into transactional love. Like, oh, so he has to buy me X, Y, and Z for me to say I love him, and then that love is not real love. So we've been dealing with that
Wow.
as a people, and it's been a cycle that we can't break.
Right.
But it's been set up for us to be that way because once you destroy the foundation, the people fall along with it.
Absolutely. So, what's your take on streaming platforms and the impact it has on artists?
I think is a negative impact right now because we're not getting paid what we should be getting paid. I follow a guy named Demiza that's been in the industry for years. He's actually heading up a fight to try to get artists paid. There's artists now that are coming out with different platforms that help the independent artists that are out. I believe that that's the way of the new world. The industry right now is trying to get rid of the artists. They've been trying to actually do more AI music, and it's because they're not getting paid because they've messed up the formula, and they don't realize it. Like the formula was never a formula; it was the feelings of people that had a real something real to say that could affect other people. And nowadays, you got everything is a single. So back in the day, it was an album. So you would buy a whole album and get a whole vibe of whatever it was. Now everybody's on one single. So it takes away that vibe. Like I remember some of the best albums when we were growing up were albums that you could turn on and let the whole thing rock. You remember that?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's gone now. So it's like our attention spans are less because of technology, and then that's gone. So it's like I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, what's the point of trying to make a vibe? Like people want you to brand yourself. What's the point of making a brand if you can do every genre and affect people in every genre because they're only streaming one song at a time and they're only going to be interested in what they're interested in. So I always look at it like that. Like people trying to tell you to brand yourself. I would say to young artists, do what you're talented to do. Don't hold back any of your talent because you don't know who it's going to affect. And that's why it's coming through you.
Right.
Aha.
What's up? What's the upcoming projects you have and collaborations?
So right now I'm working on a couple of different things. I have some songs out. I just did some like gospel soul, what I call it, spiritual music.
Mm.
I also have done, I've got some R&B love songs coming out. I'm starting to release things independently myself. I have putting in the mix right now a label that I have. It's called All Sold Out Entertainment. There's a bunch of stuff going on. I've been, off and on right now because it's like God got me on this walk, and I know that He's got me. I'm just trying to walk through the walk. You know what I mean? And when I get to where I need to be, I know everything will be ready and done. I'm working on one song at a time. I got a new release coming out called Windows of Our Heart. It's actually a healing type song, very Michael Jackson um, um, inspired. It's basically telling people to go within yourself and work on those traumas and heal from them. It means to feel those pains and things that we have felt over years,
Right.
and then release them so that you can grow. And that's the biggest thing. Like we are working through not only our own traumas, but our generational line traumas from past life, traumas from our generation, from our lineage. And we have to teach ourselves to go in and heal that drama in order for us to grow as a people. That way we can bring ourselves back together and piece together our lineage because, what has been broken. has been a plan to break us. And if we stay in that cycle, we will forever be in that cycle.
Absolutely. What artists would you love to collaborate, living or dead, and why would you want to collaborate with them?
Um, I don't know, Lauren Hill. I would love to collaborate with Lauren Hill, because I feel like she's very much like me, very lyrical, very conscious. Um, you know, I think that that would be a crazy collaboration. I was always watching her as being like she's a lyrical artist that could rap and then also sing, which I could do both too. Um, it's funny because now I've leaned more toward my singing, but it seems like I've been getting called back to write my lyrics again. Like I never forget them nights we used to hang out and me, you, and Harry would spit. You know what I mean? And I always felt like back when we was younger, if you got in a car and there was more than one of y'all in the car,
Right.
everybody had a rap. You had to spit something. We would turn a beat on, and I don't care if you wasn't even a rapper, you had to get in the car and rap with us. Like we did freestyle everything. I freestyle R&B. I freestyle, like people used to bug out about that. Like we would go to shows and be in the car freestyling R&B, and they'd be like, I ain't never heard nobody's freestyle R&B, and I'm like, to me, I mean, that was always a thing. Like,
Yeah, we have
and it
fun.
was
We have fun. I used to come
yeah,
down.
and it
I used to come down and visit.
right, right,
Summer or whatever, hang out. We had a great time. You know what I'm saying? And I love
yeah, man. And
Jersey.
you had to do like the thing about it is like riding a bicycle. If you keep doing it, at some point it becomes normal, right?
Right,
Like pedaling the pedals. You know what I'm saying? You just keep in balance. So what happened was is because we anytime we took a car trip, that's what we would do. And then it became normal to just freestyles. And we was freestyle R&B, with freestyle hip hop. We had a
right.
good time doing it. And that was like a way of actually just kind of making the trip seem
Open it up.
shorter, you know?
Yeah, open it up. Yeah.
Right, right.
How's your fan base influence your music?
Um, I don't say that it does. It's mad funny because I make music because I love music and I make the music that I love. So I don't think about them when I'm making the music. I feel like they'll resonate with it if they resonate with it. If they don't, oh well. And I think it comes from I have a father that was born in 1920.
Mm,
Old school, which is why I call myself old soul, new sound. I grew up listening to Count Basie, Duke Ellington, all the old big band,
right, right,
And the one thing I think that I always took from my father was one was listening to that type of music brought melodies into my head, and I've always been a melodical writer. But the other thing I took from him is he used to take his music everywhere he went. And that was back when we were listening to cassette tapes. So he would have like a briefcase of cassette tapes. He'd have his player. And the funny thing with him is he was like, you're going to listen to my music whether you like it or not. And I held on to that same mentality. I'm not really a cover singer or cover artist. So if you come to a show or anything like that, you very rarely going to see me sing a cover. And the reason is that it was more because I know I write well and I have confidence in my songs. And then to add to it, I'm authentically myself. So I'd rather give you that authenticity than give you somebody else's art, and it's worked for me. A lot of people, I guess they think like beyond where I'm at just because of that. Like, because I just walk in there and I'm like, y'all gonna listen to what I got regardless.
right.
And 9 times out of 10, they love it, and that's because people need to experience new things. I mean, I know we're holding on. The reason why we hold on to old songs is because whatever we were experiencing at that time, we feel like we can re-experience. But that's a problem because then what happens when we need to listen to something new to have a new experience? Feel what I'm saying?
Right, right,
And
right.
other artists do that. When I did the show, I used to tell them, I'm like, you guys feature and you get 3 songs. Do 2 covers and do one of your own. And if you did it a different way, I wasn't mad at you either. But I wanted to, I would say to the artist, I'd rather you do one of your songs because I want you to get your song out. I want somebody to hear that art because you don't know how you're going to affect somebody. You might have saved somebody's life that night just by sharing one of your stories, you know?
Absolutely. Yo, so we're gonna tie it up, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you coming to Sybertron Podcast. You know, always
Anytime,
in my
brother.
house. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
We got
sir.
Ron Syncere. Anybody just pulling up? This is Ron Syncere on the Sybertron Podcast. Who's that behind you?
Oh, is she back there? She laying down now.
Oh,
I'm in the car with my dog. She laying down. Just a minute ago when we started, she was sitting behind me, like
right,
she wanted to
right,
be
right.
in the thing too. So
Shout out to
she's asleep
Blue.
now, I guess.
Shout
Lady
out to the
Blue. That's
dog Blue.
my all white Siberian.
Right. So tell them where to reach you at before we get off.
So you can get me on TikTok. You can catch me on Facebook. You can catch me on Instagram. It's RonSyncere. If you ever have a problem finding me, that's all one word. Just Google it. It's RonSyncere, Harris. And most of the time, you can see all of what I've done. Promoter. I'm pretty much a man with many hats.
Right,
And I
right.
just try to do whatever I can do to move the culture and help the people.
That's what it's about, my man. And I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you for pulling up. You know what I mean?
Thank you for having me, man.
We're gonna deactivate, and
Yes, sir.
we'll get you on the next one, bro.
All right,
Salute.
man. Have a great night, bro.
All right.
Peace.
Yo, that's good. That's good, man.